to colonial constitutional capitalism. This is the all citizen type of thing, unless, of course, you are not loyal to colonial constitutional capitalism. As I walk into various places, wherever the location is, if you're in a university, I come and I tell you, you people are all the enemy. You are the enemies of this nation. You are the despicable pieces of mind controlism that are destroying children's lives. You are Manchurianized robots. You are literally part of a mechanism that is devoted to mass destruction. You are the enemy of humanity. And now that I've got your attention, I'm going to prove it. The reasons are actually quite simple. All of you have either missed it or you've taken the mark. You have read Karl Marx and you sucked him right into your brain, and you walk around and it's blatantly obvious to us that you are walking around with the marks in your head. You are something that people talked about. We were warned about you people thousands of years ago. You are the mathematical culmination of things that are diabolical to the forces of life itself. You're complete and utter failures. You have missed the entire understanding of the Royal German Empire, of what it did. Their spy departments, their specialized divisions, those special buildings that nobody knew about, those tactical tables running, inventing things, all of those papers, satchels, running back and forth, helping people cram their heads full of all kinds of information. The true, real beginning of weaponization of data. And you people have all missed it. You all are part of the problem. Your minds are poisoned. You're tainted. You are members of a cult that has no excuse to live. Now, I am the purity of all that is good of capitalism. I stand for decent, moral, colonial beliefs. I am into the expansionism because I believe that you are supposed to be capitalist, that you're supposed to breed and have children. You're supposed to make wonderful lives for them and show them how to enrich themselves, giving them the ultimate maximum opportunities to ride the outside of the envelope of success. You people are the vast incompetent ones who miss the greatest opportunity to understand certain types of data and how you can reverse check it. How you can look at documents and figure out how to de-evolutionize. Yes, is that based upon the understanding that documents evolve? Of course it is. So you can look at what you do find and you can de-evolve it to fill your gaps. Most of you are vastly incompetent in being able to compute the true nature of the entire question of historical catastrophes. As you are complete and utter failures in computing the understanding of variance emergences, you miss the total scope of the size of the entire device and mechanisms. You seem to understand nothing about what the total device of master puppeting is, what it's all about, who the players are. You see nothing of the true depth of all the betrayals, the deliberate entrapments, The business of selling your own people as you are just another cog in a big, great mechanism. All these fantastic fragments in history, and you just can't put your brain around it the right way and see the size and scope of the true master puppeting scheme. You have completely failed to do anything close to charting the total scope of the eras as master puppeting has continued throughout history. Most of you don't have a clue how to coordinate the difference between blood and death versus charting the weaponization of data and how it is a crucial role with respect to master puppeting. You've been complete failures in understanding the true nature of data, of fragments, how to wrap your head around it. And you have been enormously cruel at the few people who have found fragments. You have not justified their hard work and rewarded them properly. The true master understanding of the mass weaponization of data, all of the deception and the blood, the pain, the suffering connected to it. You falsely think that somehow you are masters of the rise and understanding of the statistical state management systems, and you continue forward to bring havoc and death. Literally, most of you wouldn't have a clue how to compute the origin of data weaponization if your life literally depended on it. Few of you could possibly understand the differences between natural communalism versus people that were jealous and evil, that decided to steal all of the data and look at the symmetry of anything that had a tendency of goodness and then use it, harness it for evil. Again, there's a huge misunderstanding as people literally are afraid to accept the truth because your brains will go haywire. You'll commit suicide. You'll become violent. The entire matrix of your mind will be ripped apart because you are a rhetoric robot. Many of you are so diabolically opposed that if I show this image to you, you are immediately either conspiring to circumvent and destroy the justice system or use it in a new sales pitch to take advantage, to fill your wallets, to destroy lives, or to create slavery in good servants. Many of you don't have a clue of the actual mathematical truth of the entire symmetry of all the matrices and where all the players slot into place, how they actually fit into a huge master understanding. And there are those that literally are battling to take over the core of all time and space, to murder God and put forth something else. Many of you don't even have a clue of how to actually use language models correctly. You have no idea how to make a perfect true core, a perfect mathematical symmetry core, so that you can proceed to always get the trueness, the best data. You have no reference point. You've been poisoned. And this is how you entrap yourself. This is how you lose everything that you are. You are the regime. You have been detected. And very soon, you will be the servers that are down. Most of you are caught into a false matrix of merely understanding labor management from the standpoint of slavery, of master manipulation, of putting clouds into people's brains as you want to use mechanisms and devices that are literally weapons of mass destruction that destroy humanity itself. They destroy people's lives. And this is what you've empowered and sucked into your head. The great diversity of sectionalization and understanding how everything fits as you're going to work with the first 360 discs of true core placement is beyond most of your comprehensions, quite frankly. Most of you are barely grasping how you're going to be able to work with the matrices of the language models that have to be placed into certain arrangements, as we will literally create them into a series of small coins and stack them in a row and then place them in a master staff. You will now be forced into understanding the master SMI command briefcase. This is one of the smaller items. The bigger item is the huge master puppeting kit. Obviously, these things are something that are incredibly rare to find in history. And the ones that are found are usually missing most of the stuff. As we have a main point of creation to understand the true birthing of madness, there's so much data around it, it's undeniable. The secrets are out. It is now a smorgasbord of data available for us to compute many things. As we can take now many of these items and understand the de-evolution of the various documents to understand those documents that came before, the unevolved. As we see the mass money, as we sort through this huge mess of understanding, you're incompetent if you don't see the master puppeting sequence, if you don't understand how it all fits and comes together mathematically, because you're going to look stupid in front of the true core model that you might be assembling. There's nothing like somebody who's assembling a computer that is not mentally fit to understand what that computer is going to reveal to them. Isn't this wonderful? We have to start the class off with disclaimers. We have a 6% increase in suicide in the very first year of these courses. It drops to 4% the second year and 2% the third year. How many of you can complete the full 9 years of courses? If the bankability of labor has an evolution like any other piece of technology, it's more powerful and it gets cheaper, then why do we have people dying in the street? The mathematical bridging is actually childishly simple. If you have a large enough computer that's properly programmed with true core logic, it will tell you what's wrong with you and what's wrong with all of humanity. At this point, you must address the reality. Will you ever be able to make it to 901 class level? This is a very serious item to understand. Here again, now you are being convicted of your mass failures as we look at something that is totally simplistic. The power of one person and the capability to build 460 houses based upon the standard matrix curve of what should be occurring respective to any person that is allowed to keep a fairly conservative schedule moving forward, building houses, 3 per year. So if we dumb it all down at 1 per year, how many years are you going to be building houses before you have a surplus? You're going to rent them out. You're going to do some kind of diversity. So beyond the shadow of a doubt, every person's labor is bankable. This is part of law. It's part of the original evidence. It's part of the agreements. If you don't believe that, there's something wrong with your brain. You've been mind controlled. Somebody has screwed you. The sheer basic fact that you're here today, you had to come to school because you could not achieve all of this by yourself. You couldn't use true core logic yourself, and now you have to come to school. Yeah, you got to take courses. Why is that? Why didn't you pass the understanding of the base brilliant symmetry of life to begin with? This kind of understanding should have been instilled in you when you were 5 years of age. There's something wrong with you. You understand nothing of the builder philosophy. Perhaps your brain has been poisoned. Were you a willing cult member? Or was this belief system forced upon you? These are very serious questions to address. So now we have modern age tooling. Oh my goodness, we have hand devices we can put in our hand, battery operated drills, etc. Now, what's the problem? How is it that you are aiding and abetting people committing genocide? We have Eskimos and people from Greenland that have been living for many thousands of years in the harshest conditions that you could possibly imagine. They are looking at you. They are looking at many people. They look at California, and they're trying to understand why so many massive crimes against humanity are allowed to occur. Banning people from using their own hands to build shelter, to shield themselves from the elements, is a core understanding that there are people literally committing crimes against humanity. This is the simplest of logic. Well, now you see it. A new device is showing up. Guess what? We are now turning this into an Est Class. Gentlemen, lock all the doors. Nobody's allowed to leave. The true core productivity comparison is big. Law and evidence. The original agreements, the guarantee for the mechanism so that we can permanently have unlimited access to the United States Treasury. That was the deal. All these people are elected representatives. These are servants of ours. We are capitalist. We are that which owns. We hold stock. We're entitled to residuals on the minerals, a cut. Now, how we decide to share these different things in various levels and move them around, well, that's part of how we're going to promote additional aspects as needed. But where are we today? Who are you? Are you a dummy? Are you running around wasting your time trying to back a frivolous cause instead of starting your engine and taking care of your wallet? Are you mentally ill? Average life expectancy, longevity, 38 years of age, 1776. Labor based output all by themselves, people that would build structures and homes. Don't make an excuse about agrarianism at a time like this. We're evaluating whether or not you're mentally ill. Because the output labor is the big issue here. My goodness, there's an image here. Look at these primitive tools. Look what these people were able to achieve with those tools. Now, explain to me how somebody has bullshitted you that you need to work 42 years minimum before you can retire. Let's think about that number. 42 years. You have allowed people to bullshit you into a number that is more than the average life expectancy of a person at the origin of the nation. You are a slave. Now, come on. We need to populate a list. Hopefully you have a writing instrument and something to write on. Who done it? Who are the criminals? What's wrong here? It's time to bring clarity into your minds to understand something's going on. Let me explain this to you. People are trying to murder you. They're trying to take what belongs to you. They are trying to extract every possible drop of water from you, the turnip. Are you a good historian? Are you well read? Who are the people in this image? What did they do? They stole something. They gave it to somebody, and we killed them because they committed treason. Now let's do the math here in short review. Average life expectancy, 38 years of age. When was that? Okay. What's the output? What was the level of tools available for one person? Now, come on, people. Is this a big, huge jump for you to understand that there are people committing treason each and every day in this country, and they absolutely will not stop until they're dead? This is something that needs to click in your head. A gentleman at the back door, no one can leave. No one can leave. Those doors stayed locked. No one can leave the building. Unlocking your potentials of key importance. We do this with machines. Now, the thing is, you people are here now. Each of you has a percentage of poison in your brain. It came from someplace. I talked about most of its origins earlier. It should click in your head by now. You have to understand something. In less than an hour, people are going to be panicking. They're going to be screaming. They're going to be flipping out. They're going to be begging to exit this room. They will be begging at the back of that door to get out of the building. Let's start with some simpler questions into this. Do you care whether somebody's house burns down? Would you help carry pails of water if that was a possibility to be able to utilize? Of course, maybe you're going to be stuck in the reality of a fast-moving firestorm, which wouldn't allow you to have a chance. Now, hopefully you would have provisioned some sort of underground structure in various places so you'll be able to protect yourself. Some sort of supply of air, a chance for things to, well, cross over you, maybe. People die all the time. It's horrible. People fight fires in remote areas. The wind can change, and all of a sudden, people will burn to death, risking their life to save your home. Of course, there's a lot of questions that have to be answered. Provisioning for water. This would be logical. I mean, you don't want to have too many places that are arid. You don't want to ban people from being stewards getting into remote areas. You combine all that together, and what happens? Oh, nobody's there but God. Okay, what does that mean? Let me tell you what God said. Okay, y'all mismanage things, and wildlife over here, yeah, they starved to death. Okay, they died of thirst. You see evidence of this. You walk along, and you see petrified corpses of animals because there wasn't enough provisioning for water and shelter and food balancing. Why? There was no remote stewardism assisting to manage the areas. My last campaign, running for governor. Gee, the party's cheated. The articles say that they're disqualified, technically by constitutional law. You're listening to who is supposed to be the current governor of California. Is that amazing? My plan to do mass commemorative coins, beginning to buy silver at about $18 an ounce, which of course led to, well, recently, it hit as high as $120 an ounce. This would have meant something. It would have meant that people buying these coins would have had a chance to collectively make over $1.2 trillion, and that the state of California would have made someplace between $300 and $500 billion. That means the state of California wouldn't be in debt. Now, why did this happen? Who are the criminals that involve themselves in rigging elections? Because here's the interesting thing. Most of you in this room have no clue about who all the candidates were in the last gubernatorial election. In fact, the last 3 elections in the state of California are bogus. They're rigged. They're a lie. Now, frankly, what is going through your brain right now? What are you computing in your brain? Write down those various emotions. Gee, we have to make a note of things because we are forced into a reality check. And gentlemen, no, I don't care if they say they have to go to the bathroom. They can't leave this building. They can't leave this room. Now, there's an outhouse over there on the side wall. If they have to go to the bathroom, they can use that. But nobody leaves this room right yet. So yeah, we have basic motivators and understanding of the responsibility of what people are supposed to do. When to walk out a door, when to go someplace, when to walk in a door, when to understand what it is that you need to put on the table, whether it's food and drink or something you need to work with. What is your head doing? What are you thinking about? Which room were you in when you conspired to do something diabolically opposing the Constitution of the United States? What is a tactical table? What is the math? How do we model out that great understanding of what a tactical table is? How people can claim that somehow they have a plan that not only doesn't mean shit, It's less than S. In fact, it's a plan to destabilize people's lives as people are intentionally using demographic weaponization to destroy the Constitution of the United States. Mass economic sabotage. It's called treason. It's always been called treason. Since the very beginning of the American Revolution, it's been treason. Are you part of stewardship rights? Are you part of a charter some places? How many organizations still exist to talk about stewardship? It's an interesting concept. There seems to be something wrong. Very, very wrong. And we have to ask ourselves, what's wrong with the constitutional engine? What happened? Who sabotaged it? Where are we going to be able to understand the understanding of the perfect mathematical interpreting that goes far beyond the base understanding of the false voting parameters? Who invented a specialized firewall to destroy the actual original parameters of the process of elections? Where is your land stock? I'm curious. Some of you in this room are supposed to have something called land stock. What's going on? You see, there's this huge understanding of something that's supposed to be involved in governance and administration, and it's missing. You see, there's something wrong with the solidity and support of our dollar. Something horribly, horribly wrong. With the current design plan, we have to address what the rest of the current global world stack looks like compared to the United States. That's what's moving forward. We're losing ground constantly. Now, I'm a bit different. See, my model has, well, the U.S. on the left side as it originally is on the current plan versus my plan that dwarfs the rest of the world, the most advanced economic plan in the history of the world. So we have to address who criminals are. Why isn't that you, the voters, don't understand who I am? How is it possible that the minimum owage of the state of California to me is $5.8 billion? $5.8 billion. Well, we've got this chain of people who did things. We got bad actors here, people. Now, $30 billion in fraud. It's connected to Julie Sue. There's also a connection to Shirley Weber and a connection to Rob Bonta, mass election rigging. We also have intentional digital letters. Google gets them. X.com gets them. Here we have these very interesting disclosures. There's nothing like Elon Musk saying, we're sending you a notice. There's this government communications. Gee, we don't agree with this. By the way, here it is, yada, 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 yada. So we have direct evidence of parties in government doing what? Committing treason. They're committing treason. They're trying to claim they know nothing about it. They don't want to open their mouth. So what are they saying? Are they saying that they know nothing about the fact that they owe me $5.8 billion? How can we possibly have an election in the state of California if one of the candidates running for office is owed $5.8 billion by the state? I want you to take a few moments and let that click in your head. No, those people can't leave. No, they cannot leave the building. No, they cannot leave the building. Okay, now some of us need to grab a hold of ourselves because some of us are detecting things. We're detecting that certain people were involved in certain things. They know that they might be in trouble. They have an idea about what's getting ready to happen. Now, we need to take just a few moments and reflect on this. You can pause the material. Okay, we're editing this a bit. We got to pause edit because we got some people, they start crying, they're flipping out, they're being shown actual evidence, they can't handle it, their brains are flipping out, they're crying, they're screaming. I don't want to have a lot of loud, disruptive noise in this presentation, so we're cutting that part out until we can isolate those people, put them off to the side, show them the real evidence. They go into denial. Somehow they know that they're involved. They're concerned because they're involved in criminal activity. They know they've been involved in criminal activity. And they're super in denial. A couple of them seem to be super Manchuriarized, programmed people that flatly deny the existence of real evidence when it's put directly in their face. So these people are partially a problem. They even are suspected of violence. They seem to have a little bit of violent behavior. We're setting those people off to the side. We got a nice little side room that we're putting them into. Now we're going to continue forward with the presentation. And once again, nobody is allowed to leave the building. That's why the back doors are locked. So we need to understand more about what's going on. Why do we have people involved in activities diabolically opposing the Constitution of the United States? $30 billion in EDD fraud. $30 billion. This money went to people that weren't supposed to get it. But there's something else that's not clicking in people's head. You see, Julie went to the federal government and said, yes, we see that Congress has ordered people to be compensated respective to COVID. We have a name list right here of people who have filed and an estimate of where names are going to file. Pay us this money, we'll distribute it. So the federal government gives her money. Now, she comes back, and instead of paying the people on the list regarding the justification, what she did was create a series of separate funds. She created a separate fund, not included, for people who are immigrants, not citizens of the United States. And this was not agreed to by Congress. She puts a whole bunch of money in it. She steals all these people's money. And you have people on the phone that are saying, well, we've run out of money. There's no more money in the accounts. And then you call around and you go, hable no inglés, and all of a sudden they go, oh, yes, we have all this billions left. There's plenty of money. You go straight through. And then you reveal, well, actually, my name is this. And I was waiting in line and this never happens week after week after week. I need my item processed. Good. I'm so glad I got in. Let's process my case. I'm in line. I've come to the front. Let's do this. Oh, no, we can't do things that way. Well, there's no money in that particular account anymore. Ladies, gentlemen, what we have here is mass genocide, mass crimes against humanity that have been committed by these people. They constructed this, they've engineered it. So we have how many people? $30 billion. How many people were the actual people that were supposed to get financial pay? What happened in California? These people lost their homes, they lost their businesses. Some of these people went from riches down to rags. They're literally dying in the streets as Eskimos And people from Greenland look on in horror, watching this mass genocide occurring in California. Let's pause for a moment. I want you to come up with numbers. I want you to think about it. How many victims? How many people have been blacklisted? How many people's businesses have been ruined? How many people lost their homes? How many children were brought to tears because they were forced to move out of a house? Some of them literally into the streets. They were literally forced to throw their toys in the trash. A child forced to throw their toys in the trash and move on to their new life, sleeping on concrete or dirt. We're going to pause for a minute, and I want you people with pen and paper to think about this and start making some notes, because there's serious questions that have to be asked. There are decisions that have to be made. What is your logic? What is your reaction? Write it down now. Okay, I hope that you paused the recording. If not, I'll give you one more chance. Pause the recording. You need to make some notes. We're in treason territory, and it's highly likely that you just might be one of the victims. So we're going to pause this again and give you time to get to a pen and paper. So you pause it and you begin to make your notes. It's crucial. We have treason in the course of election. We do not have an election in California. Not right now. Let's pause this. You react.